What's going on, Conquistadors? It is Scotty the Chunky Spaniard, and welcome back to Round Like Me, a channel where we talk about a lot of well-rounded things. And it's Tuesday, which means it's time for a Tunes on a Tuesday. But it's not the Tunes on a Tuesday I had planned. Now first let me just say, we just celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day that inspires a lot of people, a day that is filled with hope, a day that should push us to making the world a better place, a more equitable place, and a place where everyone's basic human rights are celebrated and accepted and just pushed forward. I don't know a better way to say that. I'm not very articulate when it comes to that kind of stuff. But man, an inspiring man that we still celebrate today should spur us on towards goodness and hope and doing what's right in the future. I think that's the best way I could say it. But also today, I was outside working in my yard. It was foggy, it was cold. I'm currently outside right now. It's the evening because I didn't know what I was going to do for this. And so you may see some steam, some cold air coming out of my mouth. So I'm outside mowing my lawn, take a break to check my phone, checking my Twitter, and I see this tweet from Benny about Dolores O'Riordan. Now, Dolores O'Riordan was the lead singer of the Cranberries, and she passed away on Monday, yesterday, today, the day I'm filming it. It gets confusing. But she passed away. She was only 46 years old. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, because the Cranberries were one of those bands I fell in love with. Secretly I fell in love with in high school. I didn't let my alternative buddies know that I was in love with the Cranberries, because we were listening to Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, and some of them were really into Nirvana, but the Chili Peppers and Live. But I really loved the Cranberries and didn't get to really dig deep and explore the Cranberries until I moved back to California and was in college. But also didn't realize, going back and listening to Cranberries all day, tone-wise, how much they inspired me on guitar and were reflected in what I used to play a lot. So today's Tunes on a Tuesday is going to be dedicated to the memory of Dolores and the band, the Cranberries. Instead of continuing on with the Year of the Dog, we're going to take life gets in the way sometimes, and we're gonna take a little detour. So today, based on everything that's happened, we're gonna take a little detour from the Year of the Dog and focus on the Cranberries. And let's just talk about it. If you haven't gotten the new album that came out this past April, it was kind of like a mini greatest hits, but acoustic with an orchestra. Gorgeous. I think it was called Something Else. They also had an album not long before that, a few years before that, called Roses, that came out, a full-length, brand new album. But the ones that influenced me the most were these two. Everybody else is doing it, so why can't we? That album came out in 1993. Wow, I can't believe it. And I think it really just kind of turned the pop alternative world on its head. You had this Irish band that just freaking rocked. The big hits off of this album were Dreams and Linger. You know the song Dreams as soon as that opening chord hits. It's this upstroke, not a downstroke, it's this upstroke on this E where it's just like, and it's, my guitar's probably sounding out of tune because I'm outside and it keeps changing even though I keep tuning it. And then Linger. I mean, gosh, the heartbreak song for everyone. It has that opening, again, another opening that you cannot deny the minute you hear it. And it goes something like this. And then it starts doing the do 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 with those strings. Oh, and the drums. The band. Now, Dolores herself, rock star. I've said it before that I really feel like the 90s. The 90s, yeah, the 90s. I would say the 90s had some of the strongest females in the rock alternative game that we've had in a very, very long time. And she was no exception. You had this woman that had this amazing voice, and then she would mix, I know most people would call it like yodeling, but it was like this traditional form of singing, and you were just like, what am I hearing right now? This is amazing. And she is like hanging with like the rock stars of the day. And she's, like I said before, she's turning the world on its head. People are taking notice of this little Irish girl that's just rocking faces off. And her band, I don't want to discredit the entire band because the band is what made the Cranberries. Yes, Dolores' vocals were so unique and so different, but yet so accessible. But the band and their tone and the way their instrumentation and the way they played and the drums, I mean, you listen to it and tell me you're not blown away. I wish I had learned more Cranberry songs earlier. Like I said before, I realized how their tone influenced how I played, and a lot of the arpeggios and things that they do on their guitars influenced what I played. But I never sat down to take the time to actually figure it out. So everything that I'm playing right now was just learned. I just learned it. So after their first album blew up in 1993, they came out with this second one. And this one, once again, would redefine their sound. And this album starts off with that sweet vocals on Ode to My Family. And you can kind of cheat on this one. This one takes a capo. Let's check this out. So she starts off with the do's. I'm not gonna try and play it, but it starts off with like kind of that shaker. And then it goes to that guitar riff that is so undeniable, and it's a oh my gosh. I mean, honestly, some of the most memorable hooks and songs of the 90s came from the Cranberries. They weren't done changing their sound and shocking people, because on this album right here, No Need to Argue has one of the hardest rockin' songs that they ever came out with, Zombie. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna say this, and I know people are gonna be like, you're overdoing it because you were distraught over the loss of Dolores. Zombie was a better metal song than a lot of metal bands had back then. Now, you can probably find lots of examples of where I'm wrong, but Zombie gave a lot of hard rock bands a run for their money. And Zombie started off mellow. You weren't prepared for it. And they didn't, like, the way it was mixed, it wasn't mixed like a metal song. But listen to the bass, listen to the instrumentation, and tell me it's not a hard rock song. Because it starts off with just the drums, ga 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 ga. Oh, so much fun to play on drums. And then and the way it drops out And then the guitar, little guitar licks. Oh my gosh. So, if you are wanting to get some Cranberries, you don't want to go buy all the albums, they do have a greatest hits called Stars. Because Stars also includes another rocker. So Zombie wasn't their only rocker. Salvation was one that was like a punk song. It was so good. And you're like, oh my gosh, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Free to Decide is one of my favorite songs. And another one was Just My Imagination. And it was really, really good. But even all those aside, I still think Linger, I'm probably sure it's probably one of their biggest radio hits, I know. Linger was one of my favorite songs. Is one of my, still will always be one of my favorite songs. An opening guitar lick that I already played, but that simple just... And then her vocals just weaving and bobbing and weaving in there. And then that string set, oh my gosh, you throw a really good orchestra in there, and the brushes on the snare and the acoustic guitar, because they layered so many guitars in their tunes. All of the pieces in that song are pretty much 90s perfection to me. That song is like perfection. And it's so simple. But the way they just pieced it all together, the way it was produced, the way it was played, it's one of the perfect songs of the 90s for me. What are some of your perfect songs? What are some of your favorite Cranberry songs? Have you ever listened to the Cranberries? I tried playing it for my students a couple last year. I remember trying to play it for my students last year, and they were like, what is this? Just because their vocals are so different, they're so unique. But you know, you hear people that are always, right now the phrase is like, my queen, oh my queen. They play, you know, I was told last week to keep Beyonce out of my mouth. And, you know, people hear someone like that, a vocalist like that, and they're like, oh my queen, she's my queen. What does that mean, first of all? Because Queen was a band by itself already, and they're pretty amazing on their own. But if all these singers now are like queens or kings or whatever, because we don't want to, you know, discriminate. The Dolores and some of the artists of the 90s were like Mount Olympus. You got some queens, sure. You got your queens. I got my Dolores O'Riordan, who is a goddess. She is up there on Mount Olympus of female vocalists that changed the game. She changed the game. As I was thinking and working in the yard and listening to it and reflecting on the Cranberries, I'm like, I wonder if Evanescence, if that's where they kind of got some of their ideas. To be a hard rock band with these amazing vocals. What other bands were influenced by them. And just, they in a field that was dominated by the boys. You had Gwen from No Doubt, you had Dolores from Cranberries, you had Alanis Morissette, you had these really, you want to talk feminism? There are some really, really strong female presences in the 90s. In the 90s! And Dolores was up there like rocking. She was rocking. She's like, hey, boys, step aside. I'm going to melt faces. I don't have to have choreographed dances or any of this other stuff. I'm just going to be me. I got my boys behind me, and we're just going to rock your faces off. And that's what she did. And I think that's the legacy she leaves behind, of someone that didn't play by the rules, created their own path, and changed minds and hearts, and just... she left a lasting impact. I mean, that's what I think we all want. It's tough. But yeah, she's a pioneer of her sound and her vocal style. I mean, even her hairstyle and stuff, she was just edgy. She was a punk rock chick in an alternative pop band. And she was amazing. And the Cranberries are amazing. The band, the guys, every single piece of it. They were a band that knew how to tug at every emotion and heartstring you had. You'd go from Linger and thinking about love and all that to this pure rage and anger of Zombie and Salvation and wanting to like go out and change the world to reflecting on things with Ode to My Family. And then you'd want to drive in like a convertible when Free to Decide came on, and Just My Imagination, you want to be just out in the field in the sun or on the beach. I mean, they were all over the map with changing their sound and doing what they wanted to do and being successful. And she will be missed. The Cranberries as a band will never be the same. But I've loved them since high school, and that's all they ever needed to be, was them, and that's what they were. And that sounds redundant and probably stupid, but yeah, sad day. Sad day. So if you haven't checked out the Cranberries, go check them out. See what all the fuss is about. Be like, what the heck is going on here? What is she doing with her vocals? She got some little yodel thing going on. And then she was rocking and melting my face off, and then it's all sweet and syrupy. Just amazing. So, thanks for going with me on this journey, this reflection, this, you know, this little, I got to get out my John Mayer guitar. I don't play electric hardly ever anymore, and I thought it was a good idea to bust this puppy out for this little, I don't know, dedication, remembrance, and honor of Dolores and the Cranberries and what they meant to me. Gosh, man, music plays such an integral part in your life. It's why I can feel I'm fighting back the emotions, because you will know what I'm talking about if you're younger. Bands that are around now and people that have had an influence, and they're little markers along the way. And high school and college, or beginning of college, those are huge milestones and steps in your life, and Cranberries played a huge part in that for me. So thanks for watching. Thanks for always supporting me. I appreciate it, even when I'm rambling about music and loss and things like that. But remember, conquistadors, be a better person tomorrow than you were today, because there is always room for improvement. Go out and make this world a better place. Do something kind this week. Help someone out. Hold back a word or two that you may want to unleash on someone, and they may not deserve it. Or they might, but you can handle it a different way. But be good people. And I'll see you Thursday. Take care. Bye.